I am so ready to welcome our next guest today. We have a 3-part series with Stuart Couling. He's a mindfulness and well-being coach. So I'm really ready for a relaxing and replenishing time. So let's get started with part 1.
Welcome to Happiness, Health and Relationships podcast. If you're looking for inspiration on powerful, healthy habits, you've come to the right place. I'm Angeline and I've been working with people for over 10 years in therapy. And this podcast will cut through the myths and misinformation on healthy lifestyle. I'll be interviewing experts in their field, providing top tips and motivation for 6 elements of living medicine. The 6 elements are reducing stress, exercise and fitness, nutrition, sleep, reducing addictive substances, and how to master healthy relationships. Let's get started.
I'm really excited to get into our podcast today with Stuart Couling. Stuart's a mindfulness and well-being coach, and he's a qualified mindfulness teacher. Stuart's quite well known in the local area, does a lot of work for charity, and he just tries to support people in lots of different ways, all things well-being. But we're going to be talking specifically today, mostly about mindfulness, but I'm interested in where the conversation will take us because when Stuart and I have spoken before, the conversation seems to flow. So I'm really looking forward to it. I've enjoyed our chat so far. So welcome, first of all.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Let's start off with mindfulness and meditation is often put in the same camp or a similar camp. So tell us a bit about the differences there.
Okay, so I started off by doing meditation first. And that actually started in massage, to be honest. That was where I got into all the well-being stuff. So I started in massage, then Reiki, and then I thought, I really enjoy meditation. So I joined some meditation groups. And I thought, I want to do this. So I started to do meditation. So meditation tends to be you just sitting and following your breath. It can be on a visual journey. You could be going out there and finding out what your true self is, who your true self is, or it can be a spiritual experience as well. So you might be going up and speaking to your guides, or you may be going through Akashic records of your past lives or anything like that. So it could be as spiritual and as woo-woo as you want it to be. So that's, but you can do mindful meditation, which is also just sitting as well and following your breath, following your body, scanning your body. That is also a meditation. Mindfulness is more of a way of life. So it kind of expands that out a little bit. So it's about being present. It's about being in this moment and being aware of your mind, telling you this, telling you that, you're not going to be able to do this, or I should have done this differently, going into the past or going into the future, because that's what our minds tend to do. It's about knowing that we've got those thoughts in our mind, but not being attached to them. So you take a few steps back, and you take steps back by following your breath or doing that meditation. But with mindfulness, you're widening it out to making a cup of tea. So you've made me a lovely cup of coffee this morning, which I have to say is beautiful. Thank you very much for that. So, and it says perfect on my mug. It's a white mug. So this is me being mindful and present. It's warm. It's about halfway drunk now. So it's getting lighter as I drink, having a little sniff of the coffee, which I love. It makes me want to drink it. And as I drink it, I'm going to have a little sip here. So what we do, we really bring our full awareness into the moment, what we're doing right now. And we're drinking coffee together. And that tastes amazing to me. I'm not judging it. I start to go into my mind and think, oh, yeah, that's okay. But like, I much prefer filter coffee, or I prefer to get a barista coffee. Okay, I'm a coffee snob here. So what I'm noticing is that then you notice that you go into the mind and you think, oh, I like that. I like that. So you bring it back to the actual experience, and you notice the mug, and you notice how warm your hands are, and the weight and the color of the coffee. So I've got a black coffee, and I can see on the edge, around the edge of the mug, it looks like it's lighter for some reason, and it goes darker in the middle. So it's about bringing your full awareness in. And when you do that, you're coming away from the mind and you're giving the mind a rest. and you're training your brain to just be present. Those thoughts will carry on no matter what. So it will be, occasionally it will kick in with like, what am I going to have for tea tonight? Or I wonder what the time is. Or I've got this to do later. So you just keep bringing it back. That's mindfulness. And you can use that practice with anything from walking. So bringing your full awareness into your steps and losing the need to know where you're going by a certain time. I'm just here. Every step is into this moment. I'm noticing the trees around me and everything. You can wash up as well mindfully.
I love that, because I'm just thinking that this is really the opposite to what we're used to. We are taking time to really slow down. That's we don't do that. We don't really do that in our normal everyday lives. And the other thing that I love about it, that what I understand so far, is that mindfulness is accessible for everyone. And meditation can be a bit more difficult for people. If the mind's racing and we're trying hard to quieten our mind, which I'm not sure who can do that. Maybe monks can do that. So this sounds really accessible to varying degrees. So for beginners, they can just literally start to notice the coffee, the food that they're eating, and being fully present in our everyday lives more, not worrying about what we're having for tea, not worrying about what happened yesterday that we can't do anything about, things like that. So it sounds nice and simple, and I like simple.
It is simple. It's about, imagine that you're an onion. So you're peeling away the layers really, and you're discovering your inner self, your higher self, or whatever you want to call it. So you're discovering who you really are without getting caught up in the mind and all those distractions of things like social media, and computers, TV, radio, the media. You can then take a step back from all that, because you can start to recognize when I do those things, when I do go on to a bit of a scrolling afternoon or whatever on Facebook, I start to recognize in my mind and body what happens. So I think, okay, so that's making me feel anxious. It's making me feel I'm not enough. So I'm taking a step back. I'm going to close my iPad and I'm just going to sit and be.
I think that's so important, isn't it? To start to slow down and recognize what is actually impacting us. When we do that activity or don't see our loved ones, whatever it may be, to actually take notice of how things do, if we are scrolling, how do we feel after that? So it's all kind of checking in on who we really are. And I think that's ultimate happiness, isn't it? When we connect with who we really are, we no longer feel as anxious, because we are tuning into what's really important to us.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Mindfulness isn't easy because it encourages you to sit with some uncomfortable feelings and just to explore them. So your mind may be saying, "I'm not enough. I feel awful." So let's just sit with that for the moment. So your mind's saying this. Where are you feeling that in the body? Where are you feeling that this is coming from? Is this from the past? Is it from other people? Because often we have other people's opinions in our minds and they're not really our own. So that's learnt behavior and learnt thinking. So we're encouraged to just sit with it and thinking, okay, where did that come from? Where did this judgmental thought come from? Oh, my mum used to say that, or that's come from a teacher. It's about recognizing actually that thought is not my own. That thought is somebody else's. And even your own thoughts aren't you. They are just your mind coming up with this churning stuff over and over and over. The real you is that real calm energy that runs underneath it all.
I think people will be really interested to hear that, because people don't feel that they feel that it's, if they're a chaotic person or everything feels stressful and chaotic and we're trying to keep up, basically, people tend to think that, well, that's just what I'm like. I'm not a calm person. But what you're saying is actually we can find
we can
that
find
calm.
we can find our true selves and that calm that it runs underneath. And it's about acceptance. A lot of it is around acceptance. So if you are feeling manic today, if you've got your mind is really busy and you're really anxious, or you could be on the verge of a panic attack, that's where we start. We accept that. We surrender that to the universe maybe and just say, hey, Kate, we're here. This is where we're starting. This is happening. A lot of it is out of my control. I surrender what's out of my control and we start here. I saw somebody had put a quote somewhere this week and I can't remember. It might be Thich Nhat Khan, who writes some amazing, has written some amazing books that are worth investigating. And every now and again, a little, no, it was Eckhart Tolle. Eckhart Tolle. And he was on about the good and the bad in our lives are equal. So we need to kind of treat them that way. So bad things happen. They are the same thing, basically, as good things. So there's a balance there. We can't experience good things without experiencing bad things. So we wouldn't know what a good thing was if we didn't have other things happening in our lives, and vice versa.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's really important. It reminds me of a book that I read a while ago called The Shadow. And it's about embracing all parts of ourselves. So even the things that we're ashamed of from our past. You know, when we go through really difficult experiences, we do learn from them. And I now think that actually some of my behaviours in the past was shocking, alcohol involved, whatever, stresses, different things. But when I look back, I think actually back then I needed a hug. I needed some love,
Yeah.
And so when we view it in that way, that to accept all parts of ourselves, our behaviour usually stinks if we're struggling with something or we're feeling not connected with others or we're stressed, we're feeling fearful, whatever it may be.
And those fears are really like an important teacher. It's good to pause and to turn around and just have a look at them and just like treat them like a friend. Like, okay, so you're here. I've got fear of this. I've got a fear of that. I don't want this to happen. This is stalling me from doing what I want to do. Just sit with it again. It's a case of like, as uncomfortable as it feels, it's getting to know yourself. And what are those fears that are preventing me from doing something? What are they causing me to do? Just sit with it. Where's the fear? What is the feeling? What thoughts have I got? Where have I got that in my body? Am I tensing my body? Is it making me poorly? What's my energy level like? And it's really about just embracing it and just say, hey, this is part of me. This is part of me. But it's not, in a way, because it's happening in your body, and we can separate out from that, body and mind.
I'm just interrupting this episode just for a few short moments to let you know that I've got a page where you can leave me a voice message. I want to make these podcasts as interactive as possible, and wherever I can, include you, my brilliant listeners, into these episodes. So head over to speakpipe.com/Angeline and go ahead and leave me a message. It could be a question, it could be a review. You might even want to let me know what you'd like to hear on the upcoming episodes. Whatever it is, please drop me a message, and we might even include your message in upcoming episodes. I'll endeavour to answer all the questions, but I can't guarantee that I'll get to all of them, but I'll certainly give it a good go. Anyway, let's get back to it.
I think it's so empowering when we can adopt that attitude, really. It's freeing because we're weighed down by thinking of ourselves that we're not good enough, and we accumulate those thoughts from our past behaviours and stuff like that. And still, I still don't do everything right. Of course not. We are human beings. But when we start to kind of have more realistic expectations of ourselves and we try to be accountable, then we can stand a bit firmer in our true selves and say, sure, I'm not perfect, but I'm doing the best I can. And
Yeah.
I think that it's just freeing is the word that I would use when we're not getting bogged down by I'm not good enough or I'm not likable or whatever it may be that, so many people, it's so common that people feel that way.
And as soon as you start to practice mindfulness and you recognize that, oh, there goes my mind again, it's saying that I'm going to fail at this or I'm not good enough or so-and-so's better at this than me. And that's the thing, even in our type of work, I do come across, I think, oh, somebody's posted about mindfulness. They're doing mindfulness now. I bet they're better than me. And then I just think, okay, so my mind is telling me that that person over there that I've never met or been on any of their courses is better than me. Where's my proof? So where is the evidence that that's the case? And if you can say, I haven't got any, then you can let it go. And you think, okay, so that person's written something on Facebook and said that they're going to be doing this. I'd have no evidence of what it's like. Maybe I should just go and go and attend their course and whatever, but and let that feeling and that thought go. So it's about recognizing that they are just thoughts and you are not your thoughts.
And I think when we bring our true selves, then we do have something unique to bring.
Absolutely,
it's not
yeah.
better or worse than the next person, but it's valuable.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah, there's
So
value to that.
I've often had that where I've had that fear that there's lots of other people doing the same thing as me, and you think, oh, okay, am I good enough now? Am I good enough? And then when you do attend, and I do sometimes attend some of their things, they've got a completely different skill set. Maybe we can do something together. And you think, well, so if I'd have gone along with my thoughts, I'd have beaten myself up. I'd have probably even got to the point, you get to the point where you think, I've lost confidence in what I'm doing. This has come about by me practicing being mindful and recognizing that those are just my thoughts. Why let them control you in that way? As soon as you get a grip of them and you think, okay, I'm getting to know my thoughts, I'm getting to know my thinking patterns, I know that they're not me, and some of them are coming from other people, other sources, things that might have happened in my childhood that I've worried about, and yeah. So when you get to know yourself, you can make different decisions. Mindfulness teaches us to pause, to reflect, to be able to go over stuff, investigate stuff, so that we're not reacting all the time and we can choose to respond instead.
I'm thinking how mindfulness as well can help with all the 6 pillars of living medicine, because I interviewed a nutritionist, fabulous, really knowledgeable. That podcast is coming out soon. And she was talking about, I never knew, but she was talking, she's a Master of Science, and she takes a whole inventory of a person's story. So looking back to childhood and what might be impacting the psychology of why we eat the way that we do, and, how that whole thing impacts what we eat, whether we exercise or take care of ourselves or not. All these things are impacted, and I'm thinking that mindfulness can be a factor in helping us get rid of some of that, or processing some of that stuff, that stinking thinking, if you like, that keeps us from actually taking care of ourselves.
Journaling mindfully is pretty good for that kind of thing. So you've got all these thoughts going on. Why not write them down? And that can help you to kind of get curious about yourself. And so where's this coming from? How far away is this from me right now? How many years down the line? So yeah, it just is about getting to know your mind and your body. But talking about nutrition, mindfulness can actually help you with losing weight, and the way that we do that is similar to that little coffee experiment we did at the beginning, where we just sit with it. So we get a square of chocolate, and this is what I do in some of my sessions. You get a square of chocolate and you just look at it. You start off by just looking at that chocolate. You look at what's written on it, the color, the shape. You move it around. What's it feel like? Is it smooth? Is it rough? Has it got hard edges? And then you smell it. You listen to it. You can't hear anything, but we often do it with a raisin. But you can squeeze a raisin; it makes a noise. But I found that people didn't like raisins so much, and it's a bit boring, isn't it? So introduce chocolate.
But all right if they're in a chocolate bar.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a bit different. And then you put it in your mouth and you taste it. You bite it once. you basically make this chocolate last for quite a few minutes. And people slow everything down. And because you're slowing everything down and you're eating, you can apply that to your main meals. Because so many people I know now are caught up in their mind when they're eating, or they're distracted, they're doing something else at the same time. And because they're doing that, they're not present with their food and they eat it really quick. And the body's not telling them that they're full. So you slow it right down. You appreciate every bite, every taste, every sound that you've got. And your body is caught up with you. So it will tell you, you might think, oh, I can't finish this, I'm full already. And you slow it right down. And it's good for your mental health as well as your physical health.
Absolutely. I was just thinking that when you were talking, that mindfulness is actually a form of gratitude. I was hearing there where we're being grateful for the taste of the coffee or the softness of our pillow or the warmth of our bed, whatever it may be. And gratefulness is on, or gratitude is on every single list in happiness studies. There's been countless happiness studies, and just about on every list that I've ever come across, gratitude is always on there. That psychological, what you're doing for your mental health there is powerful, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And with the mindful eating, you can widen out the gratitude and thank where it comes from, who's done this, the people that are involved in your coffee, even to the kettle boiling, though everything like that, the water that we've got that's free in our taps, well, not free, but like it's there for us to use whenever we want. That's show gratitude for that. The gratitude for the farmers who have produced this coffee and the factories and the people that have brought it to us. There's so much that you can be grateful for rather than just being caught up in the mind and just think, I want a coffee. Because how many times do we say, oh, I want a cup of tea? We're English, aren't we? So I want a cup of tea. It makes me feel better. Or somebody offers you a cup of tea. It'll make you feel better. And we just don't drink it mindfully. We let it go cold and we drink it in a few seconds and we've not experienced it at all. So the whole idea of having a cup of tea is to take that space, take that time out that we just don't do.
And I'm also thinking about the power of the mind as well, really, with there's a couple of stories that I'm thinking of here. One was they did a study of chambermaids. They obviously very physical job, cleaning all day. In one group, they thought about cleaning as physical exercise, that it was healthy for them. They were very mindful of that throughout the day, that they're doing their body some good. The other group just kind of mindlessly went through their job and it was just their job. They turned up and etc. So, but what they found was that the group that believed that they were promoting their health, they showed that they were healthier because they believed that they were, which is so interesting, the power of the mind. And I hear this in many different versions of that. The other side to that, you were talking about being fully present as well earlier. And I heard quite a funny story earlier about a lady went to yoga. She was really stressed. Her friend said, you've got to go to yoga. Yoga's brilliant. It's going to sort you out. So she went along to yoga and she was busy worrying about what she was going to have to do for the rest of the day. And then she was noticing somebody beside her who had all the fancy gear on and all the right poses. And she started comparing herself to her. And she came out of yoga and she said, well, I don't know what all this yoga malarkey is. It did nothing for me, you know. So being fully present and mindfully doing the yoga. And that's the end of part 1 in our 3-part series with Stuart Couling, a mindfulness and wellbeing coach. I've thoroughly enjoyed our conversation today, and I'm looking forward to part 2 next week. Tune in next week for some more top tips and advice on how to relax and recharge our batteries. Look forward to the next one.